Alright, everybody, welcome back. This is a plane that is far too late to come to the game, and I am also very late making a video on it. So, of course, if you want to go ahead and get your Falkland jokes out of the way, we are looking at the Super Etendard today. It is an Etendard, but super. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. But in any case, what are we actually looking at here? So, just like the previous Etendard, this is more of a surface attack platform rather than air-to-air. In this case, of course, we're mostly just looking at the laser-guided bombs, and I will be talking about casts later on in the video, but this is mostly an RRB-focused video. This may get some anti-surface missiles at some point. It's supposed to get the Exocet at some point, although Gaijin has stated before that they don't plan on adding it at least anytime soon. But for the meantime, in RRB, you get two magics, you get a radar to slave them with, and then you get some okay flight performance for 10.0. I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not a big fan of the flight performance of this thing. I've talked to people that are a big fan of it, but personally for me, it just feels like way too much of a brick. It doesn't pull enough AOA, at least for my liking, and at the higher speeds, it also doesn't have very good energy retention. Now, once it drops below around like 600 kilometers an hour or so, it just doesn't like to lose speed, but that's also just mostly because it's not really pulling. What it does get is a very strong engine for a subsonic aircraft, and so as long as you're not pulling too hard, you are able to stall out quite a few planes, even some of the afterburning stuff. Although someone like an F4 will probably just power up straight after you anyways. One interesting thing to note, and I'm going to be totally honest with you, I don't know if this is correct or not, but as of now, it kind of has super cruise. It's able to go past Mach, and it doesn't have an afterburner, so I would say that counts as a super cruising aircraft. Like I said, though, I have no idea if this is actually, accurate, or if Gaijin just got the thrust curves wrong on this thing, which is very much possible. But it is nice. It still leaves you slower than most of the stuff with this BR. Like you see, I'm fighting a lot of F5s, I'm fighting Phantoms, I'm fighting F105s, F8s, all this kind of stuff. And everything here, pretty much except for the A10s, is going to outrun me. Maybe the SA-25s as well when I'm fighting them. Anyway, combine that with the fact that this thing is going to lose a dogfight to an F5 pretty much every time, and that's what you're mostly fighting, I didn't have the best time. Now, I think this A10 is pulling off. Do you want to bet that he, A, keeps turning, or B, last second full commit head-ons me? Yep. I really don't like when people do this, because you can't really pull out of the way, or you yourself will get gunned down. So, just wanted to rant about that for a second. But in any case, when it comes to air-to-air weaponry, the Magic is actually a very competent missile for 10.0. Now, it's not as if it doesn't have its downsides, because the Magic does have very poor range. It got a little bit better this patch, because they did lower the drag slightly on the Magic missiles, but it's still like R60 range, maybe worse. And that just really doesn't work out well. It's not nearly as bad at 10.0 as it is here at top tier, for example, but it is just something to keep in mind, because it only has like a 2-second burn, and then the drag after it stops burning is pretty substantial. Now, it is still very quick while it is accelerating. That has a pretty strong rocket motor for its size, and it has a very decent flare resistance. That has the same flare resistance as the AIM-9J, the AIM-9G, and all those other ones. So, if you're firing it from close up, especially with the rise time changes, it's very often that these things will actually ignore flares. For those of y'all who don't know, rise time is basically how long it takes a flare to heat up, and Gaijin went ahead and added it to this patch. That means at close range, missiles are much more flare-resistant than they used to be, because the flares aren't hot enough to actually decoy them. The Magic and other fast-accelerating missiles like the Python, or the PL-5B, have all benefited from this change. Same for like the AIM-9J, for example. You may have noticed that a lot of AIM-9Js are ignoring their flares now. This is why. It's the combination of 35G pull, radar slaving with a decent radar, actually, and the rise time changes does make the Magic pretty decent for a 10.0 missile. It's one of the better ones, but just the range is still what cripples it in my opinion, and you only get 2 of them. Then you at least, of course, do get 2 Defas, which I think are very competent guns. I like the Defa quite a bit. I've used it extensively, especially on my Israeli, Kafir, for example. And once you get the aim down, they hit like a truck. They have decent velocity and retention, and they have good fire rate while also having plenty of ammo. So you really don't have to worry about spraying too much of these guns, and if you hit somebody, they'll usually either be severely crippled or dead. And for me, at least, the biggest thing I look for in a gun is stopping power, so I do like this aspect of the aircraft. Another really nice advantage is it actually has 180 countermeasures, which is much more than usual for the BR. I mean, even a lot of top tier planes only have around 60. So that is very impressive. and a huge advantage. It also means you can run chaff as well if you want to climb in this thing, because you don't have to worry about running the stuff like the F80, for example. The only thing you really have to worry about is like maybe some like an F4 in a full up tier, but you don't get too many of those. Most of your games are like 10.3, maybe 10.7 in this thing, to be honest. I didn't get many down tiers either, but most of the time you're not going to be fighting 11-0s. So overall on Era B, at least, to get a plane that has some pretty decent energy retention, but only really just because it doesn't like to pull that hard, at least at the lower speeds. It has a good engine, and it's got 2 decent missiles and great guns for the VR. Overall, pretty alright, and I mean, it's a hell of a lot better than the other French 10.0 option, because that French F8 doesn't get flares at 10.0, and I don't know about you, but there is no way I'm playing that. So, yeah, it doesn't really get much worse than that. Now, of course, this plane isn't just for air RB. One of its strong suits, actually, is doing cast and ground RB, so you actually get 4 paveways at 12.0, which is kind of ridiculous, honestly. Now, I am getting pretty close right here because I got a down tier and there were no enemies up, but you can drop these things from 10 kilometers plus sometimes. Although you do have to be very careful. If you don't look where you're pointing whenever you drop the bomb, it's just going to fly completely straight and miss the target like mine did right here. But here's a perfect example. I'm able to just look down their spawn with my little targeting pod. It doesn't get thermals, but it is able to lock onto tanks. And I can just go, boop, drop the paveway on them, and then point my nose back up and keep on going. And you're just able to collect a free kill. This thing at 10.0 is absolutely ridiculous when it comes to cast, especially in down tiers. You can fight M247s with paveways, which is kind of ridiculous. Even without thermals, because let's just be honest, you don't really need them. These normal little optics are more than enough anyways for the most part. The only real issue with this plane is that the Jaguar is 10.3, and that's where the actual French lineup is. And it's kind of just like, why would you even play this thing when you have the Jaguar? It is a great stopgap, at least until you do get the Jag, and hey, it is good at cast. I mean, you get everything you need for a good cast platform at the VR. It's just, it's kind of redundant at this point, unfortunately. Last thing I did want to let y'all know about is, for those of you who have been keeping an eye on my channel, I did actually do a 10,000 subscriber pack giveaway recently. And I did actually go ahead and select the winners for that. It was done through a Discord bot on my Discord server. All 3 winners have selected their prizes, and here are their receipts just in case for accountability purposes. Thank you to everyone who participated. I will be doing more in the future. I don't know if I'll do one at 15K though, and maybe longer than that. We'll have to see exactly how it pans out. But in any case, let me know what you think of this plane in the comments down below. I'll catch y'all next time, so peace, y'all.